You're listening to the Variety Sports Network, your home for the best sports podcasters and live shows.
And welcome to the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Joining you here on March 12th, 2023. Tyler, not the good spring ahead. We lose an hour of sleep today, but we're here with you still. 6:50 a.m. here. Well, it's 5:50 it says, though, on my oven. But I came out. That's not what I want to say.
Same here.
I lost an hour there. So here we are with you. Fatboy FadeAway. I got Tyler with me. Tyler, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Before we move forward, like, subscribe, please. Means a lot. Make a comment. I'm doing good. Arizona went back to back. We'll get into these conference tournament games later. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I'm good, man. Like I said, we got a lot to get into. This is, like I said last week, this is one of the best weeks of the year, March. We had a Warriors, a Grizzlies game. Those are always fun. We'll get into that. Obviously, we did a little short. I know some people, guy P Shark checked in over there. So we got that to get into. We got some NFL to get into just a little bit as well. Well, I also really wanted to dig deep a little bit into the Gasol trade back in the day with his jersey being retired this week. So I kind of wanted to look back at that trade a little bit. So we'll get into a few things here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. And, of course, we'll do our winners and losers of the week presented by SeatGeek. All right, Tyler, like you said, you kind of mentioned before, be a fatty, continue to support the pod. We appreciate anybody that's tuned in, commented during the show. All those things mean a lot. We usually try to check out as many other shows as we possibly can. I know people do the same for us, so we always try to favor there. And most people, it's good content now that I'm actually kind of getting used to listen to it. You know what I mean? You have to get used to like breaking your listening pattern in that regard. So some of the good shows we listen to, the Inglorious Batters one on Variety Sports Network, I've been listening to that one. They do pretty good. Our guys, let's be real, were really good yesterday. Trevor, Tuke, and P Shark were running the show yesterday, and they had some good stuff with Tuke with the Panthers takes, and then firing the ball boy with Kevin Durant. That was pretty funny at the end there. So check out that podcast, one of our favorites. Seventh inning stretch, of course, farm end of the bench. Ryan Harris jumped the pass. And our guy, Real Deal, DA, got a new little thing there with Rush, so really cool with him. And then C. Henry and you having the MVP conversation is always fun. We appreciate our guy there. So wanted to shout out DA there with the new opportunity he got there too. So really cool for him and that. Obviously, he's been on multiple shows with us over the years here. All right. With that said, let's get into our Awaken Hot Take. Today's going to be a little bit of a different one. So I'm going to try to keep this personal, but not too personal. All right. So let's get into it. So you obviously have a dad that's coached youth sports for a long time. You've done obviously a little bit yourself as well. I've done it for a long time. Usually at some point, most of us, if we have kids, we end up doing coaching or some role. And of course, if not, you're a parent on the sideline. So that's kind of how it works. So I kind of wanted to get into like the etiquette of these things with parents and coaching. And I was realizing this week after just something that had come up, I realized how in the coaching game, the higher you get, like just how much you have to let things roll off your back. You know what I mean? Like think about like, because I get frustrated and offended by somebody that might like just write something to me like about like playing time or this, and I'll be like, where was this 8 weeks? Where was this 2 weeks ago? Where was, you know what I mean? Or where are we talking? You know, these things that come up during the season, and it comes up at a convenient point usually. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I was thinking about that. Like for me personally, when I get something towards me that I kind of get offended by, and you might not be offended is the right word, but just kind of like taken aback by it.
Taken back.
Realize. You know what I'm doing as a teacher, trying to help, your kid, in that regard. So sometimes I realize like my own faults in recognizing that. I also realize how hard, as we're watching the NCAA tournament take place, and these guys are taking heat from the fan base and just winning every game, and the studying and scouting and video and all that, and news conference, and just how thick skinned, as we say around here, these guys got to have.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on both ends as a coach and as a parent. If you're a parent, just parent. Don't worry about the coach, especially at the youth age. Like, just talk to your kid if you have an issue, like what's going on, and have the kid relay it to the coach is what I try and get across to parents when I'm coaching, and that's how I am as a parent. It's not your job to go and write an email to a coach, and like it's just gonna make things awkward. Like the coach doesn't want to deal with it. They have other things they have to deal with. They're parenting most likely as well. Like it's not like they're just coaching. So like it just I don't know where I'm going with this as far as like where you want me to go.
Well, I just remember this one incident. Like I'm even thinking one with your dad. I just remember randomly when it all starts like because you can't play everybody.
Yeah.
Like and literally that's the thing people don't understand. Like you just have to make decisions. Obviously, some of us get offended by it more than others. And but I remember this guy like coming up to your dad like during like, why is my kid like that one always has stood out to me. I've had other ones, for me, like where I've got like interesting phone calls after the game or something like that. And to me, it's always like most of the time I'm usually like whatever because it's I feel like the people that are coming at me just don't understand the whole picture of sports. And like I usually at the end of the day, it's usually these things come down to one game. You know what I mean? Because there's not like if you look at usually a good coach will play out the whole season when it comes to like playing time and those type of things. But I guess for me, where I was trying to go with it more this week was just try to vent a little bit. Just use a platform for me to like kind of vent a little bit. So that's the reason I'm doing it. And B, I just kind of thought it was an interesting topic with all the coaching that I was seeing this week on TV, and just thinking the higher the level you get, how much more comes at you. And
but it's a different like thing.
But you have to get used to that. You have to tunnel vision yourself in a little bit. You can't let outside of noise offend you, because if it does, you're going to think about that too much than you are your actual goal. You know what I mean?
You're already toast if you're thinking about what the media is saying to you, or if coaches are saying, or players or parents are saying to you. So yeah, I agree.
And you're managing so many personalities as a coach. That's the thing too. You're not just managing yourself. And so you're trying to manipulate all that at the same time. So I don't know. To me, it was kind of a shout out here in a way.
And you're trying to win. Like that's the bottom line when at the high levels, and then at the lower levels, it's having fun and being competitive and teaching kids the most successful like strategy. Like that's part of it. Like there's strategies to things, and sometimes your kid just doesn't cut it in certain instances during the season. Like he's not going to make the floor. He's not going to see the field. Right. So there's that. I wanted to bring something up before we leave this topic. I don't know if you have any more to add on this.
Well, I could go for probably hours, but I'm going to stop.
That's true. I mean, we could all. Yeah, I remember my dad in when I was in third grade. He had to give an all-tourney award, and he didn't give it to the best player. He gave it to a kid.
I was on that team.
Yeah, you were there probably, and he just got reamed for giving this kid who wasn't the best player, but he tried hard, and it was a success. I don't know, and I just always was taken back. I remember seeing it. I was like, "Why is my dad getting yelled at?" He came in second place.
And that's the thing is like people like not understanding the giant scope. They look at it from my kid is pissed.
Yeah.
And like, maybe I don't understand that. And like, that's not fair. And so I think that's, and like, I always appreciate that about my parents. I remember my mom, like it was like under 10 soccer traveling. And I was like, I didn't want to play defensive back or DB in soccer, like the right back. I was like, I wanted to play midfield. And she's like, well, you can go talk to him. I'm not saying anything. I went up and talked to him and he put me at midfield the next game. So that always stuck out to me at that point there. But I don't know, just something that was on my mind this week. And thinking of other coaches at a higher level, just giving them respect in that regard too. And just like how much more they have to take on and the stresses that come with it, managing your own life, blah, 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 all that good stuff there. So, all right, that's my waking hot take for the week on that, Tyler. Just kind of something that a little different this week, but something I kind of wanted to touch on that hit home a little bit.
Before we move on, do you think anyone will ever have a career like Jim Boeheim? He retires after 47 years at Syracuse, only one national championship. Is that like with that few national championships, do you think anyone will last that long out of college again?
I was thinking about 47 years. They were saying like Gerald Ford was the president when he
just insane.
So like 47 seasons and only one championship, right? Not saying that's bad, but that's crazy to think about, right? You're in a sport for 47 years, and that's how hard it is. That's how hard it is. And he's like one of the best. He has the second most wins ever, I believe. And then you have right behind Coach K.
I think he might have passed him.
I think he's got second. Even with that, I think the other thing too about him I'm going to remember is the zone defense. But I don't think anybody will ever be there 47 years again. That's ridiculous. No, I mean I'm all for longevity. You know that at one place, but 47 years, that's a log. I can't see anybody getting that much rope. Maybe that's wrong. I probably somebody will at some point, but it's hard to see at that point there. All right.
Hey, is there any way you last 47 years that WCA?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll retire before that. All right. Dubs this week. Let's get into the Warriors a little bit here before we kind of get into some other things. They go 0-3 again on the road trip. We asked last week, did they get the mojo back? It looks like maybe they haven't, my friend. They go 0-3 to some of the games. Just again, awful starts. It was always the theme in these things. 40 minutes, we get down to the Grizzlies. I appreciate the guy that commented on our last Grizzlies or Warriors post-game video when he wrote, "Get over it." I love it. I thought that was great. Yeah, he's all, "Get over it." When we did our video of the Grizzlies Warriors the other day, he's like, "The Grizzlies are going to win the championship." I thought that was great, that comment. God. So I appreciate whoever that was. Rich Harris, I think the name was. Thank you, Rich. 0-3 there, like Warriors on the road trip, Tyler. Like we said, the OKC one disappointing. The Grizzlies one's disappointing because, man, nobody showed up in the first quarter. I mean, you got to know the Grizzlies are going to come out like that and you give up 48. Kerr starts small, doesn't work. Before we get on to last night's W against where we actually have some positive news, let's kind of touch back real quick on that road trip. The road woes continue, my friend. 7 wins.
It's pathetic. I was so uplifting, so happy last week, and this week it's the exact opposite. It's just depressing. You know what's going to happen. You're not going to win on the road, and they'll be competitive and win most of the games at home. They're hard to watch on the road. They get down 20 every game, it seems like. I just don't know how in the playoffs, is this going to change? They've won a road playoff game in the last 15 series or 20 series. I just don't see it happening this year. Their depth is non-existent. It's rough.
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird cycle. I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. Can they win one game on the road? Yes. You know what I mean? That's obviously something that's possible. But, they obviously don't have the magic like they do at home. Let's go to last night where they definitely do show some magic. Curry spectacular in the second half overtime. Dante was spectacular as well. I liked his game he just has a bounce. He has an energy. He has a passion out there that you can see when he's playing. And when he's making some threes, he's obviously that he's a real good basketball player as well on top of those little things he does. Green, he's continuing to kind of get banged up along the way. Clay continued to do his thing, finding his stride along Curry. I thought no Giannis for the Bucks. He's massaging his damn arm all game there with that ball they get. The whole game he's massaging that thing. They getting good treatment there, selling those things. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that win last night?
I mean,
matter.
It was still ugly. Curry didn't show up till the last 2 minutes of this fourth quarter, really. He just went fuego and just did Curry things. And why you probably say he's the best scorer between him and Lillard, easy, because he does things like that, where he just goes on these flurries that are unstoppable. And they really didn't show up last night either. Except for DiVincenzo and Curry at the end bailed us out. It's still, and without Giannis, you're gonna play that close to the game in a game that would have brought us back to that great 500 record we always seem to come back to. I don't know. It leaves a lot to be desired on my end. I just feel like it. And they wear the. I don't want to get into.
What do you think about this quote by? What do you think about this quote by Matt Steinmetz, who's a local guy, does radio. He did newspaper here for a long time as well. What do you think about that? The Warriors veterans have been demanding, judgmental, and exclusive. He thinks that's kind of led to some of their issues this year. It kind of feels like there's been that disconnect, like we talked about last week on the podcast, but with this team. I don't know. What do you think about those quotes there from Mr. Steinmetz, who I actually think is a pretty good. Out of all the guys here, I actually kind of like him. So I thought that was I kind of take it with a little bit more when he says something like that. So and it does feel a little tension, or maybe it's just the whole year. I don't know.
It comes off it seems like I don't want to put the blame on Draymond because I will be the first one to rip Draymond, but this seems like a strictly Draymond thing. I don't think Curry's being demanding, or maybe demanding, but they should be demanding of their young players. That's fair.
I can see Clay being more demanding. He seems like he's starting to get a little bit more.
Who, Clay?
Yeah, a little
shakier. Yeah, he probably gets a little frustrated. The exclusive part is the part that stands out to me. That's the part that's what are we doing here? We got to play as a team eventually. And it does seem like they are kind of split. There doesn't seem to be a cohesiveness that there's been in the past few years.
Yeah, definitely something going on there with that part of it. I thought that was just kind of an interesting take. Let me get to the last thing here I kind of want to get to with the Warriors here, and that's Wiggins, right? I feel like he's kind of I don't know, as the season's starting to go on, as we're starting to hear guys say maybe he won't come back for the season. I'm starting to get that vibe. like I said, he's not like the best player in the world. He's not going to just come back and be a force. Like maybe for a game, but like we've seen it. He goes in and out at times too. So like I don't know. Like I just feel like there's in a weird spot with Wiggins, and like I guess it literally comes down to like, let's say they get to the playoffs, they get the 6th seed. Let's say best world case scenario, they get the 5 seed. Right? They're on the road. They don't have Wiggins. Are they winning a championship without Wiggins? Are they winning a 2 playoff series without him? I don't know. Like, I guess that's what it comes down to with it. When I look at the Warriors season now, is it going to come down to just Wiggins not being there?
I think it's more than that, but that's going to definitely be a factor. I mean, we saw him rebound the basketball. Like, he was one of the best small forward rebounders we've ever seen, the way he rebounded in the playoffs last year. And he kind of went away from it this year. He's not rebounding the ball the same. But I don't know. What's going? You miss 11 straight games. We haven't heard a report. It just doesn't sound good. I don't expect to see him back, and I think the Warriors will lose in the second round, probably, maybe even the first. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't even win a play-in if they get there. It's just, I'm not shocked by anything the Warriors do, except for if they win.
I don't know. I just think it's kind of like, to me, like I just feel like the Wiggins factor, they need him to win to defend these guys. They need that extra defender. They need the rebounder. They need the athleticism. They need more depth. I don't know. It's kind of a tough deal. Obviously, something's going on with them that, like we said, is deeper than basketball. But from the Warriors standpoint, they desperately are missing it right now. So, all right. Anything last on the Warriors you kind of wanted to get into from this week? Anything that like stood out to you a little bit? Anything you kind of noticed with them other than the uniforms? I know
uniforms still suck. Jordan Poole just is having a junior slump. What year is this for him? Just a slump of all slumps right now. He needs to pull out of it if they want to win anything. He just has like one good game every 10 games, it feels like. How do you feel about Jordan Poole right now?
Yeah, I've been a big defender of his, so it's been kind of frustrating to see him kind of regress a little bit this year. It feels like he's just been a little bit trying hard. To his credit, I said he is like the one guy I feel like that's played every game. Like he's actually been at, like, I'm not saying that good job, you're doing your job, but it is kind of funny. He's like the one guy that's always kind of been out there, and he kind of gets moved around a lot, right? He's kind of that swing piece for the team right now where he can do a little bit of everything. He's not a perfect player, but they need him out there. So, you know what I mean? Like he gets a little – it's just kind of a weird deal, his situation, because Curry's been out, then he needs to start. Clay's been back, and he needs to be out. Nope, now we're going small. He's back in. Like, I don't know. And we already know he's not going to be an unreal defender. So I think that's a good point with them as well. It'll be interesting what the Warriors do the rest of the year on the road. They got 7 road games left. Can they win 2?
I doubt it. I don't believe in it. They might win in Houston. I think that's it. When I looked at this,
what do you think about the Brooks Green thing again the other day?
I think it's good for Brooks. I think this makes him play a little like more intensely and not as loosely. So I think it's a little better for him to keep doing this. And it does take maybe a little talking, the media talking about Jaw off onto Brooks.
I liked our guy Ryan G's tweet where he's like, what he says is I like how Brooks is like the 5th best player on the Grizzlies and Green's the 4th best player on the Warriors, and they both get all the more media attention than anybody else on the 2 teams. He said they're very good heels, like in wrestling. That's a good good comparison. These guys know how to get the attention and take it off other people. All right, let's get into something real quick here. Let's get into I want to do kind of shifting to the NBA as a whole. We saw Pau Gasol got his jersey retired this week on for the Lakers, right next to Kobe Bryant. I don't think there was any doubt he was going to get his jersey retired for them, especially after winning 2 championships, going to 3 finals with the Lakers. I don't know. I wanted to kind of do a look back and hold, because when you look at just him as a player, we can talk about him in a second, but also just the fact that, like, at that point in 2008, I think everybody knew that was a screw job from the beginning. Like that, they fleeced the Grizzlies. And it was funny. I was looking back at YouTube videos of like the day that the trade was made, or teams and different networks and what they were talking about it. Every single one. I mean, because how do you not look at it as one when all you're trading away is Gasol and
Gasol was a little fat kid at that point.
And then you're giving around second round picks. I mean, at that point, how are you thinking? And nobody knew who Marc Gasol was, obviously. So then that took years to get in. And so like just an all-time bad trade. That's where you get the famous Stephen A. Smith rant there about Kwame Brown, and you get that. So you get that. That's maybe the best thing to come out of it. But I just
Can I read you a quote from Greg Popovich when this trade went down, the day it went down? Do you have it? Or?
No.
What they did in Memphis is beyond comprehension. There should be a trade committee that can scratch all trades that make 0 sense. I just wish I was on a trade committee that oversaw NBA trades because this would get denied. Just the day
that's like fantasy football.
Exactly. Like there needs to be a veto process.
Chris Wallace, who was the GM at the time for the Grizzlies, said that in his press conference.
Biggie?
No, not that Biggie. Chris Wallace, who was the GM of the Grizzlies at that time, he said that it's because there was not very many teams in the league with cap space and a lot of cap space. And that was going to be a huge part of their team going forward was the cap space. And this was going to make a big difference. So that was his reasoning for it. I guess obviously at one point, grit and grind, maybe came about, but just an all-time bad trade. You look back at what they got in the trade. It just was not very good. As Tyler, I guess, leaves me here for a second, but that's the thing. When you look back at that trade with Gasol, for those guys, to me, it's just one of those trades when you do look back on and you're just going to be like, what the heck happened? Like the Grizzlies, like I said, Tyler, what I was trying to say there was, I just don't understand. It was almost like it was like a hush hush deal, like in some sense, like, how like I always think about the Garnett trade too, where he got he gets traded from from McHale to basically Ainge in that deal. I know there's no setup there maybe with the Grizzlies, but it just feels really weird, like Popovich said. So any other thoughts on as we're looking back and then I got some other things on it.
I brought it up in our what ifs. Like, what if people just didn't give Boston and LA all the good players at some point? Like, it seems like they always get funneled to these two cities, like in the history of the NBA. Like, it's crazy. Pau Gasol was hurt before the trade. He broke his foot, and they were just having a terrible year. So I get why Memphis wanted cap space, and it turned into a pretty decent team we put together. I don't know if Wallace was still the GM, but yeah, you got Javaris Creighton, who's best known for playing guns with Gilbert Arenas, and you got Marc Gasol luckily worked out, and it kind of is a saving grace.
That's saving trade.
But when it was made, no one knew who Marc Gasol was. He was literally his little fat little brother.
And the reason I wanted to look back at it more so is because Gasol was getting his jersey retired. Great player, as we mentioned. But it just swung the NBA. It gave Kobe Bryant life too. Like his time there was starting to get kind of, even after he signed that contract, it was getting, I don't know, there was he had to score all the points. There was Odom, there was Bynum, and then Gasol comes in there and it's just a game changer. That was one of the funny things too I was reading was Bill Walton. He was on ESPN and he was saying that he thought it was going to be too difficult for the Lakers to play fast with Bynum, Gasol, Kobe, Odom. You underestimate how athletic Gasol is, and you know what I mean. That was part of the game. And when you're that damn tall, I remember they would just kill the Warriors on the glass, just murder them on the glass at times.
Yeah,
that stupid little triangle offense. And they had 9 guys down there to kill.
The 3 of those guys would just play volleyball back and forth with rebounds, and they were all talented, had touch with Odom and Gasol. Bynum, just a big force. I just remember the first game back, Gasol took a rebound, went coast to coast and around the back pass to Kobe, and Kobe dunked. I think it was in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been a first playoff game actually. And I was like, man, this guy's different. I didn't realize how good he was. And then he goes on to win 2 championships. And yeah, it revived Kobe's career for sure.
The game for me, I remember, is when they beat the Lakers. Lakers had Shaq at that point, but that was kind of their team.
Not the Lakers.
Or the Suns. The Lakers beat the Suns, I should say. And I remember thinking, all right, this team, they're going to be tough to beat. And sure enough, they end up losing to the Celtics in the finals. And then Gasol comes back the next year and to me has his best game the game I remember the most was that Game 7, his Game 7 performance there against the Celtics. So I don't know, just a league changer. So to me, that's why I wanted to look back at this trade, just an all-timer. We might start doing this once in a while, look back at some trades that were kind of changed the league. Because it did, Tyler. 3 straight finals for the Lakers, and they were a force for the next 5 years.
one of the greatest flat-footed shots in NBA history, the one he hit over Perkins was out. I don't know who was in, maybe Garnett. And then should he have been MVP that series?
Oh, I think he might. He could. He had a good rep. I think Kobe did this. I always liked his little move. He was so he could shoot with both arms, so he had this little shoulder, little fake too that he would do.
He was like jelly almost. It felt like.
Yeah, he was always kind of a weird Grizzly to me though. Like he didn't seem like a Memphis Grizzly. Like I don't know. I don't know. There was something about it. Like they're just maybe the team wasn't very good at that point. You bring them to some relevance at that point too. So, all right. So that's the deal there with the look back there with Gasol, and like we said, kind of like we said, a game changer in some regards there. All right, before we get into our question of the week here, presented by Row One Brand, we're gonna do it. We have some new ads here Logan put up, so if you're with us, bear with us here for a second. You'll hear me for about 40 seconds here. We gotta do a little.
Why don't you hit the like button here while we're doing these?
Yeah, we'll be right back. Let's be honest. You're here because you love sports. We love sports too, and our friends over at Row One Brand love sports as much as we do. Row One Brand sells sports wall art, sports gift watches, and vintage apparel with ornamental designs created from real game ticket stubs and vintage sports memorabilia in their collection. If you want some vintage Golden State Warriors memorabilia, they have that too. It's a sports collector's dream website for anything sports related. Go over to row1brand.com to check out their great inventory. And when you use the promo code VSP15, you'll get 15% off any item on the whole site. That's code VSP15 for 15% off any item on the site. So click on the link below and go check them out. Row One Brand, America's best vintage sports art, sports gifts. That guy's pretty good.
You have some acting in your future?
Thanks, Logan. Put that together there. So Row One Brand, go use the code VSN15, like I said, and get 15% off anything. The Art Gallery got some new watches over there too. Tyler, tournament week. For me, though, I did this last week. We talked about the tourney as a whole, NCAA tournament. I kind of wanted to focus on the conference championships. So every year, obviously, you have your regular season, then you have your conference championships. They play out during the week. Kind of always a weird deal to me, just because you play the whole regular season, you have this 1 week. But it is what it is. It is kind of fun. I always enjoy the little schools, but it's the bigger conferences with all the way through. They've changed a lot over the years. There's some things I like and don't like about it. So I kind of want to ask a whole, when you think of that, when you think of the NCAA conference tournament week, what kind of comes to mind? What are your first thoughts?
My first thoughts on it's kind of unfair at times when a team like Georgia goes 13-16 in 2013. I don't know, whenever the tornado was in Oklahoma City.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Things like that, when you get a team that doesn't deserve to be in the tournament, but they have a weak run, now they're in. That's what I think of. The moment or the thing that I will never forget is the Syracuse UConn 6 OT game. Johnny Flynn was just ridiculous. He played 67 minutes. Yeah, the Big East. You could do a whole list of just Big East games, but that game in particularly with Eric Devendorf and Johnny Flynn and it's before Kemba Walker was on the team, had a terrible game. But yeah, that's the game I think of.
The Big East is it's the only answer. I feel like I know some people will argue it'd be maybe if you have a personal I like the Pac-10 tournament just as much as anybody else. That was something I looked forward to. They didn't have it for the longest time. There was a lot. They didn't even get it until 2001, 2002. They were one of the only big conferences that still just played out a regular season. They didn't even have a tournament up until I was just graduated high school, which I always found funny. So they had the true conference there at that time. But what was happening was these teams were getting the extra games, and they were maybe passing some of these teams up in the bracket and stuff like that, or maybe they weren't getting enough respect. So that's why I think they did it, and obviously money was a factor as well going forth it. But the Big East is the only answer for me, and for me, it's because the tournament was on Wednesday morning it would start, and you'd have Rutgers versus Boston College, or Providence versus DePaul or something like that. And you try to go in your homeroom teacher and you try to get them to put the game on and try to watch them. Those are the memories that I remember. Is my buddies Adam and with Devin and those guys going into the science room teacher. Hey, come on, what do you think we can? There's nothing wrong with a little basketball. They put it on, and so you get half an hour of like I said, a little Providence basketball there or something like that in the Big East. And it was fun. Pitt, they get the morning games and so the Big East to me was always was the good tournament. And the other thing for me too, I was a little disappointed. I saw is I'm a big fan of courts, right? We talk about the end zone. I like the Big East tournament. They just had the Knicks logo out there. They had the double arc You'd have like the 3-point one, and you'd have the big NBA
Yep.
one. And like I always kind of liked the schematics of that. Now they don't really do that anymore. And the ACC tournament, I noticed theirs isn't the same. I used to love their court. Like to me, that was they used to have like that little teal in the back, and like I don't know, there was something about like just those kind of memories for me that stand out more than actually always the games matter too. But some of the little things like that also are a big deal. Did you ever get your teacher to turn on the game?
Not for the Big East. I got NCAA tournament people to turn on the game for those. Like I had a teacher who was a big Wisconsin fan, and he'd always make sure the game was on every year. So kids would go in there at lunch and go and watch whatever game was on. Like, and yeah, it was cool for teachers. It was like a bonding thing for teachers. Also, they were always like the kid's favorite teacher that year because they would put on the game for you.
Yeah, I forget the guy's even name. We called him the mad scientist because I think he was from like Russia or something. The short little guy. We called him the mad scientist. We always said he was a spy. Maybe he was. Who knows? He was trying. Big East tournament there. That's my memory from it. There's just a lot of things. Like I said, the names, the records, like that kind of stuff. And then we always talk about your guy
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, all those guys. I remember Cal with Leon Poe and getting to the championship. That was kind of a big deal. Back in the day. So yeah, it's just kind of a fun little thing, especially if your team, whether there's those few magical runs where a team isn't even going to make the make the tournament, and then they end up winning it. I can't think of one off the top of my head that really Georgia. But I'm trying to think of somebody that packed that. I know Oregon State, I believe, made a run not too long ago where I think they won the Pac-12 tournament. They got like an 11 seed and went in and did a little damage in the tournament as well. So little fun things like that. Obviously, Kemba Walker gets talked about a ton as well.
Yeah, but Darius Washington missed free throws.
Yeah, sorry, Memphis guys. That was a picture. Yohai's been posting those pictures. I like the Luther Head thing this week as well. I had that thing ready.
Bringing up Luther Head again. My God,
I like Luther. I like Big Luther for you. I like Luther. But all right, that's our question of the week presented by Row One Brand. Use the code GSN15. Tyler, tourney week is past us now after today. A real last thought, and we'll get the big tournament. We get Selection Sunday out later today. But you brought up, what was his name? Darius Washington from Memphis. Always a big one over there. I always thought their game, that was always an underrated conference tournament as well.
It was.
Conference USA. They used to have some good teams in there. We're talking about that the other day on Twitter. Like even teams like Charlotte and UAB were actually like very good. You'd have Louisville, I believe, was in that conference.
Yep. That's who they played.
Yeah, Louisville was in there, and a couple other teams I know I'm forgetting that were pretty good in there as well.
Was Cincinnati in there at all?
Oh, Cincinnati was definitely in that one. And maybe Xavier was in there as well. Maybe not. No, Xavier was in the A10, I believe, at that time.
Yeah, they were.
That was a tournament I always enjoyed as well. Was the A10 tournament there? All right, so that's our question of the week there. All right, instead of last week, kind of did like a hot and cold thing here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. I thought that was turned out pretty well. We're going to do something kind of called like what's the word here, where I'm going to just kind of bring up some things that happened during the week, kind of bring up a word here that kind of describes how you feel about it, and we'll kind of talk about the subject there. All right, the first one I got that was big news, we haven't touched on the NFL a little bit, is the Chicago Bears, right? The Chicago Bears end up trading the first pick. The Texans, that big win by Lovie Smith at the end. I keep saying it, the Bears benefit with the first pick, and maybe they sets up their franchise, Tyler, for years to come. You don't know. They get a good, I would say they get everybody says he's a star wide receiver. I just feel like that word is thrown out a little too much. So I'm going to say they get a really good receiver in DJ Moore. I think he has star potential. They get that, and they get tons of picks. Like we already said, they get the Panthers 7th round pick, or no, 8th pick overall, 6th pick overall. I thought it was the 6th, but 9th. Okay. 9th. So they get the 9th pick overall. Thanks for helping me on that one. What do you think about, when you think of this trade? What's the word that comes to mind?
Just riveting. I think it's a good trade for both franchises. As far as the Bears, you got weapons for Justin Fields now, Mooney, Claypool, and DJ Moore. And then you still have a top pick. You can add some to your defense, because your defense was pathetic last year. And then the Carolina Panthers, you gave up a lot, but if you get the quarterback who you think is going to be your quarterback, I think they're going to go Anthony Richardson. I think they see the Cam Newton model. They've won with it before. I think they're going Anthony Richardson. What's your word?
Yeah, when everybody says the Kentucky thing, right? That always throws me off.
God. Could you imagine?
My word for it is stunning. is just how much people are getting for these picks. To me, it's like it works. Some of them work out, but the history of the first round picks, I wanted to kind of go over that real quick with you. It was kind of interesting, some of the trades that have happened in the past, like what we have, like the Niners a few years ago, right, trading up just for the third pick overall. All they're giving up for the quarterbacks. I even kind of remember back in the day where the Ravens were traded for Bowler. You have the Vikings trading for the guy from Florida State. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. They traded up for him a few years ago. The white guy that turned apart, was it?
Ponder.
Ponder, thank you. Not for Chad Pinder from the
Beautiful
Chad Pinder from the Oakland A's. No, Ponder. There. To me, that more than even what the Panthers or Bears are getting, I'm just kind of stunned at where the NFL now is with trading up for maybe the first pick overall, and obviously for probably the quarterback. So for me, it's kind of a stunning trade in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. Have these picks become overvalued? Because they wouldn't get that much for Justin Fields. Like they wouldn't have been able to get that much. Like they would have got a lot, but they're not getting 2 first-round picks, a second, and DJ Moore. I feel like just the unknown quantity has made GMs go a little crazy. I don't know. It just seems like a lot to give up for one player.
That's where I'm at with it. Like, it just seems like there's so much to give it. The one I kind of remember that I did want that I thought was one of the ones that worked out the best was the Rams actually getting Orlando Pace with the first pick. Like, there's somewhere obviously they're going to turn out well. You're getting the best. You're getting the best player overall. I just think that the NFL's in a weird spot with how much it seems like you have to give up to get it. Maybe it turns out not to be very much if the guy they select. You think I think it's going to be C.J. Stroud.
I think it's going to be Richardson. I don't mind who they. I hope they. I don't really care as long as they don't pick Levis. That's the only one I'll rip on them for because it doesn't make sense. I just don't understand the love affair.
Daniel Jones just got paid, so that's part of it. All right, so that's the what's the word? That's a big deal here that in the news circles. It'll be interesting what the Bears do with the 9th pick as well. Maybe they go offensive line, or maybe they go wide receiver. See what they do with Fields. In that regard, maybe they trade down again. Who knows? The Bears could just keep. They need bodies at this point, and they have a lot of money in free agency. Free agency, Tyler, starting this week. Always fun in the NFL. That'll be interesting there to see what happens. All right, let's go to the next word here. What I got: newly signed quarterback Derek Carr excited to lead the Saints offense. Carr to the Saints. What do you think there?
You being a former Raider fan, I want to hear your opinion first about Derek Carr and what he had to say at this press conference.
My word for it is overrated. I just feel like it's not gonna. I feel like Saints fans. I know DA. I don't know. Like maybe there could be a little magic early in the season. Carr has had that. He goes on runs. We've mentioned that before. He's not the worst quarterback in the league. That's not. We've ever said that, but he's to me just not the quarterback that's going to take you over the top. And it'd be interesting when he has his first 2-pick game there and the Saints lose. They have a pretty intense fan base down there. It'll be interesting what happens with him in that regard. I just feel like from the Saints standpoint, they really were out of options. And, what I mean? They needed a quarterback to kind of – obviously Dalton wasn't the answer. For them, it makes sense to get fresh blood in there. Carr has led a team to a playoffs like he's twice. So they do have that behind him. Carr loves to check down. They have an ultimate check down running back to be, and maybe he can build some. Maybe he builds up a little relationship. They got the new. I can't think of the rookie wide receiver they have.
Olave.
Yeah, they have it. And then if they can ever get the other guy back, maybe they'll have something there with him. But I like Johnson a little bit as the tight end. I don't know. I just think as a Raiders fan, I just don't. How I feel about him. I don't think he's going to take you over the top. So I think that's might be the same situation with the Saints. Maybe they win the division.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the on the field. I'm going to go with just the press conference. I'm going to go it's disingenuous. This guy was an all-time Raider fan. He claimed to be the biggest Raider fan in the world. Like, and now they do a video of him and his kids all like their seats, their bed sheets have been changed to like Saints gear, and he's the biggest Saints fan now. And I get it, but and then like to say that
you got fired, man. What do you expect? I mean,
But it's
I
just
would be like,
disingenuous. Don't pretend like you're this
thanks.
big
I'm gonna go to bed in my Raider pajamas.
So you can be bought. Your fan, like who you are, can be bought.
For 40 million, yes, you
So it's disingenuous, is all I'm saying. And then for him to say, "Oh, I have a chip on my shoulder" after the way things ended with the Raiders. Why didn't you have a chip on your shoulder when you didn't win a playoff game in 9 years? Like I don't think I just find it corny.
He got defensive too this time with the Raiders at the end here. Like I said, I know a lot of people believe in him. I know safe fans. Like if you look at the division, now getting Carr, it makes sense that they would be the favorite heading into the year, right? Especially if they can avoid some big injuries or something like that to their main guys during the offseason. I don't know. I just think it's going to be like kind of what it is with the Raiders. Like I don't see the ceiling. I see a limited ceiling, and that's where I just see a first round exit. If you get
I feel you on that.
So that's where I'm at with this. That's the word there. Maybe that's 3 words, but I couldn't use that. So, all right, let's keep it moving here. What's the word? Real quick here, let's hit on some other subjects here. World Baseball Classic, it's back. You love the World Cup. You love those things with it. The thing about the World Baseball Classic for people that maybe don't even watch baseball, it is kind of fun though because of the crowds a little bit. It is different. There's a different energy that's brought to the game a little bit in it. The way they celebrate is awesome. The way they kind of the crowd, all that good stuff. So, what's your word on the World Baseball Classic?
It's exciting. I like when you see these like Latin countries playing. The crowd, it's like a soccer crowd. They're friggin' chanting, they're waving flags, they're going crazy.
It's awesome.
It's just very fun to watch. MLB could learn a thing or two instead of just sitting on your hands all game and like just a little golf clap. Like it's fun. It's interactive.
Why don't me and you do that when we go to our next game together?
The A's fans kind of tried to do it out of the bleachers for a little bit. It's very fun. I was watching Italy and like Australia, and I was like, this is boring as crap. These teams suck, and there's like no excitement. And then I turned on
Australia. Could you pick any team?
But then I watched the Mexico-Colombia game, and I was like, oh, this is good stuff. Now I see why people are into this.
Yeah, that was a really good game. But I didn't get to watch the USA game a little bit, but that was kind of fun to check in on it. My word for it is rare. So like I like to see baseball that's like different than it usually is, and that's the part for me is like it's rare that we get to see teams play with this type of atmosphere of baseball anymore. So for me, that's the part I like about it. That's a little different. Josh threw out an idea, Lewis, who I went on the 7th inning stretch with this week on Friday. Him and Susie talk AL West. He was saying that they should do that. Maybe they should move it to July. My thing is at that point, you would get less of the big players, I think, to play in it at that point. And I don't think the teams would be very happy with like in the middle of the season doing something like that. So I just can't see that ever happening there. All right, let's keep it moving here. What's the word? Like I said, I'm starting to do a little hockey every week this week. I just kind of want to keep touching base a little bit here and there, keep people informed on this. And to me, Tyler, this is kind of a bigger deal is I like records. So they are the fastest team in the history of the NHL of 50 wins. So take it for what it is. In 2023, the game's been around forever. You have a team out here that is playing that didn't have expectations to be the best team in the league. And they're just on fire this year, getting to 50 wins. They're on pace to beat the record that the Lightning and Red Wings have had in 62. I don't know. I don't follow. I know a few of the players on the Bruins, but 50 wins that quick of a pace, that's pretty crazy.
My word's perplexed. I had no idea they were on this win streak or this. Like I heard they lost their first game at 10. They won 10 in a row and just lost, and then they played the other night. I don't know if they won or lost. I'm just perplexed. I didn't know they were that good. I can't name one player on the Bruins. Maybe Pasternak. Is he still on the Bruins? I don't know.
What was the tall guy? The defenseman?
Chara. Zdeno Chara. I don't know if he's still playing though.
The thing too I found with with hockey stuff like this during the regular season is it's the one sport too where it never really seems to translate to the postseason. Like the Warriors, they got 73. It's like, okay, they're going to get by the first couple rounds, right? Like you just kind of like perceive that's automatic or something like that. They're going to sweep this team. For hockey, it doesn't really work like that. So both those teams that set that record did not win the Stanley Cup. Actually, I think the Lightning got eliminated in the first round, I believe. So in the year they did it. So it doesn't necessarily lead to a championship. Actually, I think the Lightning got swept last year, if I believe, in the first round as well. So I always thought that was kind of an interesting thing with it. So my word for it was I said amazing. Like to me, that's what records are to me. Like I didn't know either. So very cool there at the Bruins getting NHL. Tyler, gonna do a little bit of that.
Connor McDavid's ridiculous. He's having some special year scoring goals.
Somebody made him. And that's the thing when you see the hands. I always say go to a game live. That will change your perspective when you go to a game there. All right, let's keep moving. What's the word? NBA injuries adding up. Some of the stars here. It always seems to happen here towards the end of the season. Luka goes down a little bit. Durant slips. Like I said, the ball. I'll be a nasty fall. He's out 4 to 6 weeks, right? Maybe be evaluated in 2 weeks. Kyrie is what he is. He's out once in a while there. Giannis massaging himself. He's out there. Zion's still out, and Brunson is out now for the Knicks. He gets hurt against the Kings, or he gets officially hurt against the Kings, where he's now out for a little while. I don't know. What do you think there, Tyler? What's the word there with the NBA injuries?
Typical. It's the time of year when these teams that are winning and are going to make the playoffs for the most part, they rest some starters. They get a little nicked up, so they're fully rested to start the playoffs. So I just think it's typical. It's kind of predictable at the same time. So, yeah.
My numbers are it's 58. We need 58 regular season games. That's all we need.
That's never happening. But I agree with you.
58 less injuries. You'd be in the playoffs about right now. These guys could be playing. That's what my thing with it. I don't know, Tyler. It is a little bit weird how always towards the end of the season, right? Everybody's fighting for those last spots. It's good to have those top 6 teams in there. Now with having the final 2 spots, it does make the end of the regular season a little bit more interesting. The guys have to go a little harder at the end of the year, which they should be doing, but I don't know, a little bit interesting there with that part of it. So it'll be interesting what the one out of those guys is Durant, right? Like he's just about to play a home game, and then he slips because I just can't get too from Let's Be Real. He didn't do his job. The ball boy didn't do his job. He wanted the ball boy fired. Then Kuminga gets hurt too. And
same thing
there, slip out. So I don't know. To me, that was the most disappointing one. But it opens up the West in some regards. What if he's not back as good as Booker is, right? Like that changes the whole West.
The Suns they're not that great without Durant. I mean, they're good. They have Booker and Paul, but you lose Mikal Bridges to the Durant trade, and then Durant's not playing. They're not getting out of the second round. I couldn't imagine. Paul's going to miss games in the playoffs at some point.
Let's just say hypothetical, he wasn't involved in the playoffs. Like, just he got hurt, like the ankle just doesn't recover or something like that, and Adams doesn't come back for the Grizzlies, right? Who is that West would be wide open at that point again? It'd be wide open at that point again.
The favorite would be Denver, but Denver's never done it. I mean, they made the Western Conference Finals once, but that was in the bubble, I believe. I don't trust Denver. They're good, but I don't trust anyone in the West unless Durant's healthy.
Yeah,
the Warriors look like they might have a shot again. Until you watch them play and you go, this team's dead in the water.
Durant, we need you. All right, well, Tyler, like we said, be a fatty. Help us tune in and help us out with that here. Appreciate it. We got the sweatshirts with a few more I saw were bought. So thank you for anybody that's bought a sweatshirt there. Appreciate that with the logo on it. Tyler, before we get into winners and losers this week, when we pay the bills one more time, let's see Josh Lewis is the mug here for SeatGeek. Let's see what he's got for us.
All right, so I'm a baseball guy, and my goal is to actually see a game in every Major League Baseball stadium. Now, I'm more than a third of the way there, and I never buy from the team's websites. SeatGeek is my first stop whenever I'm heading to a new city for a ball game. Now, obviously, they've got some other sports, as well as concert tickets, Broadway, comedy, I mean, you name it. And now, for BSN listeners, they're actually offering you $20 off your first ticket purchase. So just use the code BSN, that stands for Variety Sports Network. So that's BSN to save $20. So put that to use for some food or for some drinks at whatever event you are wanting to attend. Again, that code is BSN to save $20 on your first SeatGeek purchase.
Sorry, the music had me.
Feeling good?
I just want to just keep moving the shoulders, baby. Just keep moving. I felt like Whitney Houston was going to go on there at some point. I hope I can see my mom that's my mom's music right there. Listen to that. So if she's listening out there,
smooth jazz.
That was good. Thanks, Josh, over there. SeatGeek, like you said, use BSN 20%. I always notice when I'm listening, though, guys, I do lose somebody every time. I lose a viewer every time I play those ads. Just let you know. So we need to figure that out. Come back. Please listen to the music. Hang in there with us. We'll be back. So, anyways, that's what it is. All right, let's get to winners and losers of the week. Tyler, What do you want to go? I'll let you decide the direction.
Whatever.
You losers first or
I'll go
whatever.
loser first.
All right, what do you got?
My loser is the Boston Celtics. They won last night, but before that, they just could not win a game. They lost the 1 seed. Milwaukee's now in first. So my loser, like nothing. I still believe they're one of the best teams in the NBA, but just for this 1 week.
Well, then yesterday, did you see the thing between Smart and Young?
Yeah, where they got in a little. Man,
No.
I would both those.
Well,
guys
Young kicked Smart kind of in the balls where he was kind of taking that shot. So
smart idea.
that was not smart. And Smart did not take it very well. I think it almost looked like he got into him and wanted to like knee him in the same spot or something like that. So an interesting. I hate how the NBA gave Young a technical foul, unless they called it for kicking him in the balls, which I don't know if that's what it was. And I don't think it was an intentional. I just hate how they hand out these technical fouls for. He didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like other than that part of it, and the guy getting in his face, that was to me that's the loser thing of the week too. Like I just hate these stupid technicals they hand out for like double T's that are not double T's. It really bothers me.
Yeah, he got beat up basically. He got a technical.
Can I stay on loser of the week? We'll go Celtics.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna throw. We just haven't. We're not gonna tell. This subject has been talked about all week so much. I don't even think we need to go in detail of it, but I got to go loser of the week just for the way some of the response to it was Perkins. The way Kendrick Perkins this week did not have a good week with the way he was arguing with Redick on that one thing there. And Redick sometimes to me can be a little bit of a not say always the smartest things either in that regard. Like I think about the Bob Cousy, the one that I thought was idiotic. He said a few months back. So. Perkins, you get loser of the week. Just take the L sometimes and move on. So it is what it is at that point. But that was definitely was a lot of content for a lot of people for a few days.
Yeah, it was ugly. I don't know where Kendrick Perkins was going. He wasn't going to win the argument. Like how you can't say someone's stat padding with like what Giannis did with stat padding, and then to say people are racist. Like just can't throw people out as racist with nothing to back it up other than who they're voting for on MVP.
Remember, Larry Bird is clear. He's not white. He's clear. It's clear.
According to Bill Murray.
It's clear. That's a whole different thing there. All right. Let's go to winners of the week. Who you got here for winner of the week?
My winner is Corbin Carroll, the Arizona Diamondbacks. You might not know who he is. He's a rookie. He's had where's his stats? I had them right.
8 years.
I don't know where they went. He's played 32 games. He just signed it. He's played 32 games. He had 260. And he just signed an 8-year, $111 million contract for 32 games and 160 at-bats. So, congrats to Corbin Carroll.
I've always said those are the deals the A's have to do. Like those are that was to me how they could keep these guys. They have to buy them out when they're young. They don't do that, but that's what they have to do. They always play it out the other way. But if you want to keep your guys, that's how I would do it. I know like the White Sox try to do that all the time as well, try to get their guys to sign. A few more guys I noticed have been doing that. The Braves seem to do that.
Oh, they do it all the time.
So I guess, I don't know. It's good for the player because they get the security, right? If they get injured or something earlier in their career, they know they have this money they can rely on. And or
if they just suck. Like sometimes
the reality is, though, he'll be 30 in baseball. Usually most of these guys get another big contract if they're 30.
Remember Dominic Smith from the Astros? He got a huge deal from them, and he just isn't even in the league. Not a huge, probably
was
like
the Astros or the Mets?
But no, that was the Astros.
Okay, yeah,
I think it was the Astros. It was a big lefty on the Astros. He was on my fantasy team.
Yeah,
greatest rookie year.
I think it was the Mets. I think it's the Mets. Yeah,
It was the Astros. Dominic Smith might not be the name. It might be a different name, but
I think that's
what
it
was the Astros.
Damn it, Dominic Smith is on the Mets.
I think you're right.
He's on the Mets, damn it. So let's go. So that's your winner of the week. All right, I got a few here. Can Fred VanVleet for cussing out the ref get winner of the week? You sent me that video about him. Basically, he was like, well, I'm going to take a fight here. And basically, F you, Ben. Oh, no, I got to go one more loser of the week before we even move on. That umpire, that game yesterday, it went viral with that strike call where I think it was Mississippi Valley State was playing New Orleans baseball. What a matchup. And you had the umpire. Okay, the first strike, right? It's in the dirt. Whatever. I mean, maybe in some world that was a strike, even though it wasn't.
No, the first.
The umpire, the guy is kind of mad about the call. Then the next one's like 7 feet outside and in the dirt. And the umpire just rings him up, Call strike 3. Look for it out there if you haven't seen it on YouTube. I'm sure you have, though. Tyler, that is definitely loser of the week. The guy gets reprimanded for that. I'm sure he got suspended. Who knows if he'll be back? But I was thinking to myself,
He shouldn't be.
I shouldn't be. I was like, I'm not going to go back and watch the game, obviously. But I wonder if I was. I'd be curious what happened before to get that type of FU energy.
Yeah. I mean, the ball
to build up that much gall to be like
2 feet out.
This ball can go 10 feet over my head, and I'll call it strike 3 on the like. That would have been the only thing that would have been better if the ball literally like would have gone behind the guy, right? Strike.
Logan brought up a good point. I'm surprised the guy didn't hit him with a bat. That would be so frustrating to just be taken out of it a bat like that. Like, I don't know. Like, good for the catcher to run over and probably say, yeah, that was a terrible call. I don't know what's going on. I imagine is what he said. I don't know what else he could say.
Maybe he said, get your eyes checked. That's
right down the middle, bud.
No, those are one of those things in competition, right, where you know the call's so bad or something like that. Or like you see it once in a while in basketball, very rarely, but you'll see it where somebody stops because they all think it's a foul. You know what I mean? Like there'll be like these moments where like everybody playing thinks that it's a foul or the guy stepped out of bounds and then nobody says anything and the game kind of continues. There'll be like these weird moments like that. So I had to throw that out for loser of the week real quick. Sorry, that wasn't good. Winner of the week here, I have Fred Van Elite, like I said, chewing out the ref. Bracket time, Tyler. This is the bracket week. So you'll, do you do the bracket still? Do you fill one out? Do you not do any of that anymore?
Not really.
Not even like a little ESPN challenge or anything like that.
I'll do one. Yeah, I probably will do it.
I'm assuming you're not going to Reno either.
Nope, staying home.
Does your dad go still?
No, my sister's going to Vegas and my oldest brother's going to Reno. So
are they gonna have him put
two
some money
family
on
members
Arizona
will
for
be
you?
gambling on what?
You're gonna put some money on They're gonna put some money on Arizona for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a $20 feature bet to win it all. They'll lose in the Sweet 16, but that's all right. I'm prepared.
You're very harsh on their coach. My other winner of the week,
I
though,
said it
Tyler,
doesn't matter unless you win in March.
My other winner of the week, though, was your Arizona Wildcats. They did pull it out against the Pac-12. UCLA was pretty banged up, and as you keep hearing, I am a Bill Walton fan. I know a lot of people aren't in the announcing, but I actually kind of enjoy some of his nonsense along the way. It keeps it entertaining for me, anyways. But the ball logo, however you say his name, the big dude there, other than his little shuffles around the basket that don't get called, he shuffles his feet more than anybody when he gets an offensive rebound, and they just don't call anything on him. But he's going to be a problem, though, man. He's huge.
He's not very good. He's not athletic. The guy from Purdue is huge and is good. He can make a layup. Baller can't make layups. I
don't know. He played pretty good last night. I thought he played pretty good last night. He didn't have a good first half, but in the second half, I thought he was one of your key players. He got like 4 guys foul out for UCLA last night. He got like 4, but yeah, he'll
be great in the first 2 rounds when they're playing these small little schools. You can't do have anyone over 6'6". But once you put him up against a guy who can kind of stand in his way, he loses all of it. He can't pass. He can't shoot. He just has little hook shots and some alley-oops.
Unbelievable. Well, my winner of the week has now been turned to a loser of the week.
No. They won the Pac-12. Good job. I'm proud of you. Back to back, baby.
Arizona, now you're loser of the week. Win something, you losers. Get out of the Sweet 16. You guys are terrible.
How do you have the most wins in the first 2 seasons? The second season's not even over, and you went to the Sweet 16 last year. And you have the most wins ever? It doesn't seem like a record that matters.
Give me a guy I should post this week. You got one on the top of your head? I like the pit snoggle choice. That was a good one.
What about Eric Devendorf?
Is that the guy from Marquette?
From Syracuse.
Okay, yeah. I always get him and the guy from Marquette. I posted this with Dwayne Wade. They played together.
Oh, Travis Diener?
Yeah, I always got him on there.
Diener. We had a nice nickname for him, too.
Code VSN, like I said, and you'll get $20 off anything there at SeatGeek. First purchase there for tickets. Tyler, 126 in the books. Appreciate anybody that tuned in here with us. Next week we'll have the brackets ready to go. We'll have a few games under our belt in the tournament to get into. World Baseball.
Could have a big guest.
Second round will be here. NBA playoffs will be getting closer. Can the Warriors win a damn road game? We'll get into all that next week. Again, appreciate anybody that's tuned in. Our guys that we always mention there, Casey, Brian, thanks for joining us last week or the last couple weeks as well. Hopefully maybe one of them will come back with us next week. maybe special guest next week as well. So we'll see what's in store for the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Until then, peace.
Right.